Hey, this is Doug Field, along with Jonathan and Amy Otto, and welcome back to this segment of HealthCare Consumerism Radio. As I said earlier in our introduction, Amy is a lead employee benefit consultant with Brown & Brown Insurance of Georgia, which is one of the largest global insurance brokerage firms in the world.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't know that.
I know. It's the sixth largest in the world and sixth largest in the country. And Brown & Brown has a little bit different approach to benefits and risk. The office I'm in here in Georgia has a very large P&C book of business, and I've been hired recently to kind of grow that book of business on the health and life side, and the tools are amazing. I mean, coming from a different broker to this model at Brown & Brown, we've got over 7,000 employees and over 180 offices throughout the country, and everybody's very collaborative in their thinking. Unlike, sometimes where you have producers that they consider each other competitors. This is very collaborative, and all the tools I could possibly imagine, from, our private marketplace, our private exchange, to, on-site clinic models.
Now, who's your exchange partner? Who's Brown & Brown's exchange?
Liaison.
Liaison is, okay.
It's just a great environment to work in, and very innovative, and very much about driving change. And when we work with clients, we do it a little bit differently. We definitely talk long-term strategy, but right now I've been spending so much time just trying to put people's mind at ease about the Affordable Care Act and what it means for them, and, just trying to get them to lay a good foundation for what is to come. And I tell you what, I feel like more like a teacher than I do a benefits broker lately.
But that's true.
Because it's all about education, educating the client.
What's the typical size client? Is there a typical size client?
Yeah, it's all over the board in our office, but my focus is really the 100 to, I'd say, 1,000 employees, and I see that as my sweet spot because I can really make a difference there. A lot of them are still fully insured, and they're getting hammered with rate increases. So taking them to a partially self-funded or a self-funded model is my strategy. And the only way to do that is to build a good foundation of health and wellness, and really help with the culture.
And they've got enough critical mass. I mean, if you've got 100 to 1,000 employees, you're spending a fair amount of money on health care. So, but you're not surrounded with all the resources that a company with 5,000 employees have. So they really need you.
And it's just a great feeling when you can enlighten them on different strategies and different ways of lowering their spend. I know in one of the breakout sessions there was an employer that was talking about benefits brokers, and he said, asking a benefits broker to reduce your spend is sort of like asking a bartender to help you stop drinking. And I think I might have been the only one in the room that laughed out loud, but it is kind of funny,
True. Yeah.
And there are brokers that really don't want to go there because it does decrease what goes into their pocket, but it's the right way. And in my mind, it's the only way to help employees and employers move to a more consumer-driven plan and strategy, and really get the employees to understand their benefits. I mean, when I said I feel more like an educator, I truly do, because the statistics, they say women spend like 30 hours or more a year shopping for shoes, and men will spend 2 or 3 days shopping for a TV and researching it.
And then how much time do we spend on health care?
Less than 19 minutes. Less than 19 minutes a year understanding our health care. So education is a huge part of what we do.
Yeah. And, with the private exchange and the marketplace or exchange, whatever we want to call it, is that, whether a company's moving that way or not, it is forcing, people to think differently about their benefits.
Absolutely.
And look at them differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And, surveys say that 85% of employees feel that benefits are really important, but yet less than 15% understand them.
Yeah, but, that's not surprising. When I hear that number, it's not surprising because they never had to.
Exactly.
Everything's cost $4. I'm going to the drugstore, it's costing me $4. I'm going to the doctor's office, it costs me $20. Oh, I'm going to run the emergency room because my doctor's office is closed. It's only costing me $50. Well, not.
Exactly.
Not. And they haven't. And if we think about where we are in this marketplace, employers have taken a while to get to where they are. Now they're the innovators. It took a while for brokers, and some still are going there, brokers to get to where they are. I think the smart brokers like yourself, Amy, and others get it, understand it, look at the big picture. How do we help our clients? Because I can look at a decreased commission, or I could look at zero commission from losing a client.
You got it.
Losing
exactly.
a client. So if we take a look at that food chain, now the eyeballs, the employers, the brokers, the consultants are all turning and say, okay, how do we educate this consumer? So it's not really surprising to me on where they are, because we're now finally there on educating them. If I'm putting a full replacement program in, I've got to educate them and keep them engaged, because they now have personal responsibility for their care and for their health. If I'm putting an exchange in, they have even more responsibility to make the right choices, on their health care and the health tools that they learn. And I think we're finding early on that they want to.
They do. I think they feel empowered and feel like finally they're getting some control and choice. Definitely finding that when we're taking clients to the marketplace. And that first year, there's still education involved. You can't just throw the tools out there and expect them to understand.
That's right. That's right.
But they really do feel very satisfied with their benefits when they can select and have more say.
Talk about transparency a little bit, because that's a big issue, and we know we can't have healthcare consumerism, true healthcare consumerism, without the transparency piece. We know there's some regulations that need to change in Washington that can allow more true transparency to take place. But what do you see, not only in your personal professional experience, Amy, and your time in the space, but what is the team at Brown & Brown? What do you guys see when it comes to that transparency piece?
It's key. The transparency is key to leading people to the HSAs or the high deductible plans, because a procedure can cost $250 in one place, and 2 blocks away it can be $2,500. Yeah. And there are a lot of tools out there available now that we use with our clients, and more are popping up every day. But the catalyst for payment reform, the recent study showed that like 45 states out of 50 got an F on the report card. Like they completely flunked in the transparency. And I think it was Maine and Massachusetts were at the top of those that offer the transparency. But I think that as these tools are available, and for both sides, the provider and the consumer, it's going to really open people's eyes. And if they have a $5,000 deductible and that's their money coming out of their pocket up to $5,000, trust me, they're going to care a little bit more than they did before.
And what's amazing, what I think would surprise a lot of people when it comes to true transparency is, it is about accessibility, quality care, and price. It's really all three of those. And take an MRI, we probably use this example too much. Think about it. One MRI is the same as the next MRI, the same as the next MRI, in a lot of cases from quality. And you can go to one place down the street, and it costs you, $1,000. You can go around the corner, it costs you $300.
Right.
And the $300 may actually have a higher quality rating.
Right.
Higher, feedback people. So I think the more the consumers take control, we're going to see transparency, true transparency, speed up, because they're going to demand it, and the plan providers aren't going to be able to hold back data, and everyone's going to have to provide it.
Absolutely. And when you mention to individuals that have bought a car before, you look at the Kelley Blue Book, right, where you're selling a car, and then the HealthCare Blue Book that exists.
I was going to say, you're about to make Jeff really happy.
Really? It's the HealthCare Blue Book. It's like people don't know it exists. Well, how would they, unless you're in our industry? Right. So when you can enlighten someone on some of these tools that are available, fairhealth.com, another one, and these are free tools available to them, and they just feel so empowered. And I think that transparency, you're going to hear more and more about it. There are more and more companies coming out with tools to track it and utilize services. So it's not going away.
Yeah, I think when there's a consistency among all the transparency players that they want to build a groundswell of energy through employers to get employers to turn to Washington and say, we need to make these changes on a federal and state level. I think that's what the catalyst of payment reform talks a lot about too. Right. So, interesting piece. Supplemental health benefits. It's kind of interesting. I think we all talk about the importance of a good mix of supplemental health and even voluntary in a plan. But at our conferences, sometimes they don't get the attention that I think it deserves. What do you think it is? You think it's just that, people have got to figure out what exchanges are doing or what a full replacement program is doing, and supplemental health's kind of an afterthought?
I think it has been an afterthought, but I think it's going to be on the forefront of many people's minds now. Because as you give people choices, like, again, I keep going back to our marketplace. When you look at individuals' buying habits, if they pick a high deductible plan, they may want the other coverages to fill in the gaps. So if you can show them how to put the pieces of the puzzle together to create their plan, supplemental insurance is a huge part of that. Yeah, I definitely see it as a growing industry for sure.
Amy, we've got about minutes to go on this segment, and as it relates to you and Brown & Brown, leave our audience with a couple takeaways that you'd like to share with them.
I think as you're looking at healthcare reform and getting nervous about it, just try to alleviate some of the confusion and really build, like I said, a good foundation. It's all about strategy, definitely, and mitigating your risk and kind of analyzing where that risk is and sharing the responsibility. Implementing wellness plans. You get a safe driver discount, right, if you haven't had any accidents. So you should actually get a break or a credit or an incentive for being healthy and working towards that with healthy lifestyle choices. So I really think collecting the data, creating a good culture, and education. I mean, if I were to leave the listeners with one word, it's education. Education. It really is. So it's all about strategy, and I'm excited about where things are going. I really am.
Yeah, we are too. And it's been a long pull for a lot of us in this space, but we are as well. And I think if we can kind of keep the ACA at bay and get some of the regulations changed, I don't think the law's gone anywhere. That's my my personal and professional belief. I think we need to focus on fixing the parts that we can fix.
That's right.
And helping employers and their consumers deal with it right now and get through it and do it cost effectively and in a quality way. Well, thank you, Amy. And Amy's going to stay with us and be our guest co-host with our next upcoming guest. So stay tuned for the next segment of HealthCare Consumerism Radio.